Henderson Airport. By now, the Allied forces settled down and were preparing for anything that was come across. Otherwise, the landing at Red Beach was almost unopposed. But later that night, the Allied forces suffered what we can call the biggest defeat in the United States naval history. I would like to introduce to you Major Martin Clemens. He was talking on our radio program this morning, and that Martin was district officer at Tulagi during that time. He had to come back from Australia during Pearl Harbor Day, and he is with us here, still alive today. Give him a big hand. Thank you very much. And that he will tell us more about what was happening, and he will be taking over from me for the time being as master ceremony. Major Clemens, thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, distinguished veterans, serving soldiers, and everybody else who's come from far away to help us with this great celebration. We're going to start off with the hymn, O God, our help in ages past. This is a traditional Solomon Island opening prayer. I now call on the Most Reverend Archbishop Adrian Smith to come and say a prayer.
Initiation. Almighty Father, Creator God, the human family seems to be awakened to a renewed appreciation of your creation. Technology, science, consumerism, economic greed, scrupulous speculation, and hunger for power are endangering the environment in which we live. We thank you, Father, for bringing us to our senses, by inspiring us to draw back from the road of self-destruction. You are a Father of love, and you reach down to redeem us when we stray far from your path. World War II reached Guadalcanal 50 years ago today. We do not rejoice in the tragedy of World War II or any war. You are a Father of harmony for your creation and peace for your sons and daughters. We praise you, Father, that in spite of the human chaos which men and women bring upon themselves by their destructive wars, you enable your children to respond to the bedlam of it all by showing great courage, loyalty, and fearless dedication, especially to their wounded brothers and sisters on the battlefield. Father, it is as if you touch the madness of war with the sanity of your gifts. In the darkness of the savagery of war, your light shines through as men and women respond to those noble qualities which you have inscribed in the heart of men and women made in your image. As the beauty of a full moon in no way detracts from the glory of the rising sun, our standing here before this memorial to Sergeant Major Sir Jacob Vousa in no way distracts from your glory as God, Father of creation, alone to be adored and worshipped. In fact, the whole purpose of recalling the qualities of Sergeant Major Sir Jacob Vousa is to proclaim your glory at works in the deeds of bravery, service, dedication, and unselfish concern for others, which are evident in the story of this son of Guadalcanal. What we recall and respect in the man Sir Jacob Vousa is your glory, Father, at work amongst us. To you alone be glory, honor, and praise. Christians look back so as to get their bearings for moving forward. This memorial, while it recalls deeds of the past, is our challenge for the future. Father, we thank you for blessing these islands with people capable of letting your glory be seen through the qualities you have given them. May all of us who pause to respect the brave and unselfish deeds of the late Sir Jacob Vousa and all those men and women whose memory we recall today feel within us your call to be light for the world, so that our light will shine and the good we do will give praise to you, our Father in heaven. Father, Creator God, you gifted the hands of the sculptor who by painstaking attention has given us this memorial to the late Sergeant Major Sir Jacob Vousa. As we recall the name of this now famous Solomon Islander, we humbly ask eternal rest in the presence of your glory for him, for his wife, and for all who fell in World War II. We make this prayer in Jesus' name.
Very good. Thank you. Now I'm going to invite the Honourable Sir Baddeley Devesey, GCMG, GCVO, Knight of St. John, the Deputy Prime Minister, to come and talk to you. You must remember that he took on the onerous duties of Governor-General and now he's still working for the Solomon Islands. Sir Baddeley.
Your Excellencies, the Governor General and Lady Daping, Ministers of the Crown, the Acting Chief Justice, official representatives of the Allied governments, Guadalcanal and Solomon Islands War Memorial Foundation representatives, the United States Marine Corps officials, and the military units of the Allied forces, the Royal Solomon Island Police, the Diplomatic Corps, Solomon Islands Scouts and War Veterans, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and all who are gathered here this afternoon, welcome to Guadalcanal. We gather here this afternoon for one purpose only, and that is in dedication of the Solomon Islands War Campaign Memorial of the statue of the late Sergeant Major Sir Jacob Vousa, depositing the bravery of our many natives who untiringly and fearlessly served alongside the Allied forces some 50 years back against an unknown force. Those very deeds, written and spoken of, is what we are here to remember and to honor. Honor for the deeds of the many who have left and for those who live to join with us today in these commemorations. It may seem to a great many of our people in Solomon Islands that is a mere anniversary celebration. I, however, would like to put this simple message to all of you that it is not a mere joyous occasion, but a time to remember and make a meaning of the bitter events that most of our citizens did not live to witness. Events that significantly determine the destiny of these islands in the Pacific region to what we are today. As we gather in unison, let us cast our thoughts and imaginations back to the time in history of bitter warfare in these islands and the actors who made the scenes. The moments of death and the continuous threat of uncertainty that loomed over the lives of our people, the sound of guns, bombs, and despair in the battlefields. A sacrifice made for our freedom. Here before us stands a statue of a famous native war hero amongst many others, a man subjected to torture by the enemy then for his silence and interrogated, a sacrifice willingly made to protect the Americans. I wish at this juncture, on behalf of the people of Solomon Islands and the people of Guadalcanal, and much more so the people of North Guadalcanal, for whom I represent in the North Parliament, and where Sir Jacob was born and laid peacefully at rest, and of course for his family and relatives, I'd like to pay this tribute to those who served with him, and of course to those who generously produced his statue that will be shortly be unveiled by his son David. May the statue of the late Major Sir Jacob Vousa be a living memory to all of our brave men and women who in many different ways stood alongside the Allied forces in a bitter struggle for peace and freedom. Together, let us remember and honor these brave men and women. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now call on Dr. Berkey, the chairman of the Guadalcanal Solomon Islands War Memorial Foundation. Dr. Berkey.
During the Civil War. On 7th of August 1942, the 1st Marine Division, led by General Alexander A. Vandergrift, landed on Guadalcanal in the first large-scale offensive action against the Japanese.
We've heard repeatedly throughout the ceremonies today that Guadalcanal marked the turning point in World War II, at which time the Allied forces went on the offensive. It was a bold decision based upon all of the information that was available and the status of our forces for our leadership to make that decision. But it also put a tremendous burden on the individuals who would carry it out. Anytime a bold decision is made by the leader, it requires tremendous courage by the forces in order to ensure that those plans are completed. I believe that our purpose here in these 2 days of memorial services and recognition is to pay honor to those who participated, whether under arms or as residents of the islands, for the courage that they displayed in supporting the Allied effort that emerged successful. Thank you very much.
For Wyatt Creech, who is representing the New Zealand government, who will say a few words about all the governments.
His Excellency Sir Peter Lepping, Governor-General, Deputy Prime Minister Sir Badley Devisi, Sir Gideon Zolovicki, General Davis, Honourable Ben Humphreys, Captain Stan Brown, General Daly, Dr. Murky, distinguished delegation members, veterans, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honour for me to represent the New Zealand Government at these 50th anniversary commemorations of the campaign that was vital to the security of the whole Southwest Pacific. I'm also pleased to have with me, also representing New Zealand, my parliamentary colleague and the former Minister of Defence, the Honourable Dr. Peter Tapsell. The New Zealand Navy, Army and Air Force all made major contributions to the Allied cause. We had 24,000 servicemen here and sustained 600 casualties. The United States engagement was much greater, but these figures, when measured against the size of our population, show a major New Zealand commitment. Our population numbered less than 2 million people at that time. I'm very proud to have been asked to speak on behalf of all the Allies who fought alongside the United States. Many who were here as young people during World War II have returned for this historic 50th anniversary commemoration. I'm also pleased that among them my father, who participated as a US Marine in this campaign since its inception, has been able to join me here today in representing the people of New Zealand in the dedication of this memorial. The dark days of the war The dark days of the war brought together in this country forces from the United States, New Zealand, Australia, Fiji and Tonga, together with Solomon Islands personnel. We also pay respect to the important work of the Coast Watchers. The Solomon Islands campaign too extended into eastern Papua New Guinea, deeply involving the people of that country as well.
I hope you will all join in, and the 1st Marine Division Band will play the first and the last verses only. You'll find the words at the back of the program if you don't know them. The coming of the Lord, he is trampling at the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored, has lost the fateful lightning of his terrible sweet sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. mighty, his succor to the brave. The world should be his footstool, and the soul of mine his slave. God is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. The soldiers marching on. Now I'm going to tell you just a few things about this memorial. Those of us who were here when the islands were invaded 50 years ago hated the idea of war. Some of us had volunteered for and had been knocked back for the European war. But we couldn't see why these tranquil islands had to be involved. After most of the Europeans had been evacuated, we felt very lonely. Those who came to our aid eventually came from many different countries, and they all hated war. All of us vowed to get it over as quickly as possible. Now we're all 50 years older. Veterans, they call us. And I believe that I speak for you all when I suggest that our dearest wish is to get the next generation to accept the responsibility for seeing that another world war does not happen. It certainly got a bit close with Desert Storm. In paying tribute to those who served in this theatre, and more particularly to those who paid the supreme sacrifice, we remember thankfully that they gave their lives to preserve freedom. So today we remember first of all those who still sleep where they fell, on land, and those whose grave is the unending sea. We remember those who died as prisoners of war, remote from their homeland and the comfort of their kith and kin. We remember those who fell and were taken home. We recall all those who served in the units listed on either side of this beautiful memorial. And they came from America, Australia, Britain, New Zealand, Fiji, Tonga, and lastly but not least, the Solomon Islanders, who faced something they had never seen before, but yet played such a significant part, working in with us as brothers. We also had that indomitable multinational unit, the Coast Watchers. I do not mind telling you that in the early days, the dark days of coast watching, when there was no sign of help, the only thing that buoyed me up was reading Shakespeare, particularly Henry V. We few, and we were few in those days, we band of brothers, for he that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. And so when the idea of a war memorial was mooted, there was very little argument as to who should represent us all. Everyone said Jacob Vousa. Had he not volunteered? Had he not shed his blood, and incidentally had most of it replaced by American blood, a true blood brother? He then carried on again after his ordeal. I was asked to get his statue done down in Melbourne. I asked our leading portrait painter who to go to. He said, John Dowie. He's just finished the Queen up in Canberra for the new Parliament House. I smiled and thought to myself that Vousa would have loved that to have been done just after his Queen. Roger Brayshaw, a young Melbourne architect, took John Dowie's sketch and produced the working drawings for the general design of the monument. It was very difficult for John with a statue because he had to work from photographs and my descriptions, but I think he's done very well. We were all lean and hungry in those days and defiant in the face of the invader. Nor had we any uniform. May those that did not return rest proudly in the knowledge of their achievements, and may we and our successors prove worthy of their sacrifice. The bronze plaques you see on either side of Sir Jacob bear the names of all the units who served here, whether on the sea, on the land, or in the air. It took 3 years solid work to complete. It was a labor of love, and to get all the names correct. I may still have missed somebody, but I hope I'll be forgiven. These plaques were cast in Melbourne, as were the plaques on the plinth and a dozen or so battle markers which are now found round all the old battle sites. The granite came from South Australia and was hewn in Melbourne. The army in Melbourne packed, picked up and transported all the bits and pieces of both this and the Guadalcanal Memorial, 90 tons of granite, and delivered them to the Royal Australian Navy, who very kindly carried the lot up for us to Honiara. We are most grateful to them. I was given a substantial grant from our committee in America, which enabled me to collect the rest of the money required from ex-servicemen and my friends in Australia, New Zealand and Fiji. I have to thank all of those who gave. For those who have not, it's still not too late. Too many times in my lifetime have we fought tyranny. Too many times have the youth of the world died in their hundreds of thousands. Alas, the road still points uphill, and we are not yet in sight of any plain of peace, but we must go on trying to get there. These memorials grew out of the brotherhood of veterans and their generosity. There was no direction from governments. We worked with the Solomon Island government in the execution and found them most cooperative. We hand over this memorial to the people of the Solomon Islands. It will help to tell the tale of what happened here between 1942 and 1945 to future generations and to the many thousands of veterans, visitors and tourists who will surely come to see it. I'm told that the boys of Selwyn College have promised to keep it in good order, and it should help the local economy. Patriotism does indeed include men's willingness to lay down his life for his country or his friends, but it also means unselfish service in time of peace. This means that those unsaid principles by which in any state the private virtues of its citizens, their love of knowledge, the energy and disinterestedness of their civil life, their reverence for the past, their caution, their capacity for working free institutions may be maintained and fostered. Ponder on these things. Those who did not return all wanted to preserve our way of life, not just a standard of living, but such things as traditions of justice, fair play and decency. We can honor our intentions, each one of us, doing his best every day to implement the ideals for which they died. I dedicate this memorial to all those who did not return. Now, we're going to unveil, which one you have? Do you take the long one? Whoa, whoa. Well done, David. You can keep that. You can keep that. Yes, right here. You take it with you. Well, there you have it. Now, we have Archbishop Adrian Smith to give the prayer of dedication. The Honourable Minister, Mr. Ben Humphreys, representative of the Australian Government, and other wreaths of the Australian delegation. Australian Navy. Mr. Roy Purdom, on behalf of Australian veterans. Have to put it on this side, will you? Right. Careful. The U.S. presidential delegation. Right.
Him, and then any other.
Yes, right there. Admiral Davis, Ambassador Farron, Mr. Jack Guy. General Daly, on behalf of the U.S. Forces, Assistant Commandant to the Marine Corps. Thank you, sir. And now we have the United States Veterans of the Solomon Islands campaign, some old friends of mine included. Lieutenant General Larson, Brigadier General Gaylor, Colonel Sweat, Colonel DeBlanc, Lieutenant Colonel Walsh. Thanks very much. Nice to see you. The Vousa's Home Guard Comrade Association would now like to lay their wreath. Right. Oh, right. Now, the New Zealand ex-serviceman. first wreath will be laid by the Honourable Wyatt Creech, Minister of the Crown in New Zealand.
Oh, I forgot your father put one down.
Right. The New Zealand Chief of Defence Force will lay the next wreath. Yes, that'd be fine. Thank you very much. Now, the New Zealand ex-servicemen to be led by Air Vice Marshal Ian Morrison, who was also a member of the War Memorial Foundation Committee. Very good. Thank you.
Huh? You've been doing that for a while. Yeah.
A wreath will be laid for the British forces by Commander Wolstenholme. Thank you, sir. Yes, that's right. Thank you very much. Careful, careful, careful. No, I've got a wreath today.
You do yours now, and then
Yes, and Fred Flo. Well, right, province. Yes, right there. I'll do him first. Eric Seri for the Guadalcanal province. Thank you so much. You've got a wreath for me. One for me? Yeah. I'm now going to lay a wreath for the Solomon Island Defence Force and all our scouts. Now we just have one small ceremony to finish. If Brigadier General Fred Flo would come forward, he has a little presentation to make to the Vousa family. So I think David Vousa had better come back again. Come and stand in the middle.
Your Excellencies, Mr. Ambassador, Major Clemens, war veterans, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Sergeant Major Sir Jacob Vousa was my friend 50 years ago. And all along through the years that followed, David's father flew our country's flag at California Village, and David has done so since his father's death. It is my privilege to present a flag that has flown over our country's capital in honor of Sergeant Major Sir Jacob Vousa. Sorry about that. David, please accept this from our country, and I hope you will continue to fly this flag. I will. Along with this flag is a certificate indicating that it was flown on March 5th, 1992, in memory of Sergeant Major Jacob Vousa. Please accept this certificate with the flag from us. Additionally, I have a personal present for David. In April 1981, I had the privilege of visiting Sergeant Major Sir Jacob Vousa in California Village, and I took his picture at that time, and then I enlarged it, and I have placed it on a plaque, and I now have it with me, and I would like to present this to David Vousa in memory of his father, Sir Jacob. Thank you very much, David, and it's our privilege to do this for you today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry about that.
We haven't quite finished with the wreaths. We're very sorry we've left out the Fijian government and the Fijian forces. Would they please come forward?
How do you know that damn thing's working anyhow? Give us 10 reasons why it should be right.
He's speechless now,
Yeah,
right?
see?
He's just guessing. He's got when he puts it, he hasn't got a video.
I didn't listen, right?
It's just empty. He's doing that because he wants to
Big
exercise.
good armless. Yeah, you knock me over, Bill.
Careful now.
I think it'd be nice.
Well done.
Video down here.
If anyone else would like to lay a wreath, they're welcome.
That works out. I just pan way back. Yeah, it keeps going around. This is a place just like Florida where I grew up, only it's got mountains. It's like Florida, but only it's got mountains.
Very good. Careful now.
You get a lot of water, I'll say that.
All right, Olketa, next event, we will lose some time by start at 5:15. So if you like look that one, you make him well, you go lose some time. I think you better hurry up for go this time, because Olketa all in March go up lose some time. So traffic problem, you leave this time now. Follow some time. Thank you.
Another one. I wasn't ready. Woo. Go that way.
Go out to
Oh, you got everybody hydrated apparently.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Sorry. John Carr.
Oh, I see him. He's over here. Just pick him out in the trees. Could have cleaned somebody's clock 50 years ago with that thing. That's rough.
He's doing a real low level beat up downtown. Aussie 316 Bravo. You're too low and out of the culture.
Well, if the Sony batteries work, I'd offer it up. I don't know. Where's he coming from? Oh, I heard him go to the sound barrier. He's coming. There he is. He's up here.